Every team, every topic, everywhere. This is Believe.
Welcome, everybody, to the Hockey Think Tank podcast, brought to you by Hockey Think Tank U, a community that we've built for all passionate players, parents, and coaches to go to get a little bit of education and a little bit of inspiration regarding the greatest game on the planet. What an episode we have for you guys here today. We're bringing on some heavy hitters, guys. This was a phenomenal conversation with Luciano Aquino and Carlo Colaiacovo, both up in the Toronto area right now. Both grew up in that area. Luciano played for 1 year at the University of Maine before going to the OHL, and then played 11 years professionally. Just an awesome career. And Carlo Colaiacovo, who is a media personality up in the Toronto area right now. But he was a first-round pick to the Toronto Maple Leafs, played over 470 games in the NHL. Just unbelievable hockey guys. And they're going through it in the youth hockey right now with their kids. And so this was just such a fun conversation. Before we do get over to those two guys, though, let's bring on the talent of the podcast, the one Jeffrey Lavecchio. Vex, what's going on today, my man?
Not much, bro. Pretty exciting week in my world, man. I've got some really cool new things that I'm going to be able to add to everybody that I work with, whether they're in-person clients or online clients or teams that I work with online, with some nutrition stuff. So just signed a deal that's going to be pretty big, that's going to help all of my clients get way better results in the gym, build their confidence, and make sure they're fueling their bodies right. So that was really cool. And then also got the green light to take over one of the gyms that I train a couple hundred players out of in season. It's been more like a satellite gym for me, but I'm getting a long-term lease on it, and I'm going to renovate it and paint it and do a lot of cool stuff, put new lights in it. It's just going to make the boys buy in even more and have an even better upgraded space for them. So that's really cool. And then lastly, looks like I might be going in and partnering on another gym. So it's been a very busy week, very busy couple of days, a lot of moving parts with the biz right now. But, you know, my goal has always been to have a gym in every rink in St. Louis and be able to work at an extremely affordable price for all these families, especially with the rising costs of hockey. And every year I get closer and closer to my goals. So been a tough week, but very exciting week, man. How about you?
Just taking over the St. Louis world, eh?
Just trying to help, bro. Just doing good work, and doors open when you do that. So
the funny part is you texted me yesterday. You're like, man, I got out coaching for the first time in however many years yesterday. And you just got the itch. You got the bug. And you're like, dude, can I be like a college assistant? And I was like,
and you're like, you don't have time. And I'm like, yeah, I know, but I really enjoy this.
You texted me that. And I think you were half serious when you said that. And I was like, buddy,
yeah.
Like, I love you, but
well, I was like, hey, coach, could I be like a third assistant and only come to practice during the week? And I don't know, man. I just love this stuff.
For sure. No, that's awesome, man. I'm happy for you. And St. Louis world is much better with the Jeffrey Lavecchio, and your goal to make it better in it. So keep up the good work. And talking about trying to make the hockey world better, dude, this conversation with these two unreal hockey guys was awesome. And it's nice. I feel like we get our fair share of Canadian guys on here and Canadian women on here. But being American guys, like, we probably skew a little bit more towards that. And it was really cool because Toronto, when you talk about just youth hockey and kind of a lot of the craziness that we talk about sometimes, like, Toronto can be the epicenter for that. And we talked a lot about that, not just some of the challenges, but the good things too. And these two guys are just awesome hockey guys, like just really, really good hockey guys. And just a really, really fun conversation. And it was cool. Like, the way that we kind of got connected is both myself and Carlo wrote some things about Hockey Canada after they lost to Czechia in the semis a couple months, or not a couple, whatever it was a month ago in World Juniors. And then I think you connected with him and was like, hey, come on the podcast. And he did. And you, both those guys, you knew Luch just from your playing days over in Europe and stuff. And he was an unreal hockey guy too. Just great perspective from two people who not only played at a high level, but are also parents now. And they're steeped in youth hockey, very knowledgeable, very passionate. And it was just great perspective to have these two guys on to talk about the game. And I had a lot of fun with this one. A lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, I think they both said it. Like, we could have talked for 10 straight hours.
I know,
with
right?
these two guys. And I think one of the coolest things for me is, if you guys are ever watching our show on YouTube, because it's also on YouTube, but a lot of you and me shaking our heads as they're talking, and you and I just, thinking, they're saying all the things that we're saying, a lot of the things that we've said for the last 7 years. And it's a reason that we've got millions of downloads, and you got two leaders in the Toronto area and a former first rounder and longtime NHLer saying the exact same things we are, in different cities and different country than us. And even though they've never listened to our show, they're coming from the exact same place we are on a lot of topics. And there were some that they disagree with us too. So it's fun to talk about those too, which you guys will hear on the show. But two great guys, absolutely love doing this. I think Carlo at the end of the show was like, hey, we got to come back on and do this again pretty soon here. So I think he enjoyed it, and you guys are going to enjoy it as well. It was an awesome conversation. For
sure. And, we do a lot of work up in Canada with the Hockey Think Tank, and it's just, it's really cool for Americans to get a perspective of what's going on up in Canada, for Canadians to get a perspective of what's going on here in the States. It's similar. The models are very similar. And it's always fun to talk hockey with knowledgeable guys, and not just knowledgeable guys, but passionate guys. And you guys are going to love this conversation. So before we do get over to those two guys, we do have some people to thank first. First want to thank icehockeysystems.com, our title sponsor. Guys, the best website out there for all of your coaching education needs. They got thousands of drills, whiteboard explanations from really, really high level hockey people, the ability to go in and draw your drills up and create a library for yourself or your team or your entire organization. We have paired with them and partnered with them to do an association platform where you can do this for every coach in your organization. They also have come up with IHS Plus, which is for coaches that want a little bit more in depth, a little bit more kind of like high level type stuff. They got things from Scotty Bowman and Daryl Belfry and Dwayne Blaze, who's the skills coach for the Detroit Red Wings, and just guys like that, women like that, who are just really, really awesome at what they do. So they also have IHS Family. So if you are a parent, you want some perspective about what's going on in the game, they have IHS Family now too. So icehockeysystems.com, guys, the best website out there for anything hockey education. Check it out today.
I want to give a massive thank you to Train Heroic. You guys know Train Heroic is a platform that's allowed me to train almost 34,000 people online since 2020, since COVID. Teams, organizations, Division I schools, multiple have worked with me using this platform, multiple NCAA Division III schools, multiple USHL, NAL, EHL, NA3, all the way down to kids. Really exciting news. I'm going to have a youth at home off-season program with amazing videos of me and one of my coaches. Everything we do, everything I have you do, whether it's for older players and it's in the gym, or younger players at home with stuff you can use around the house. There's a video detailing, coaching, demonstrating everything that you need to do and the way you do it. And the best part is it's extremely, extremely affordable. I'm very lucky to have multiple training centers here in St. Louis and work with hundreds of players in person in the off season and thousands during the season. So my online training arm of my business is trying to work with as many players that don't have access to quality coaches at an extremely, extremely affordable price. So whether you want to work with me in person, online, with a team, individual, doesn't matter. There's different ways that I can help you. So thank you to Train Heroic for making all that happen.
Boom. Also want to thank Helios Hockey, one of the best hockey development products out there right now. This is a sensor that you put into your shoulder pad that gives you real-time data and real-time feedback on your play, particularly what we call a hustle score. I should say what they call a hustle score, which all the kids absolutely love. And also stride length, stride mechanics, stride type stuff. You got to be able to skate in today's day and age, in today's game, and some great development tools for your skating. Guys, we're going to have some pretty fun stuff coming up with Helios. They reached out to us, and we're going to have some fun stuff with the Olympics coming up here, AVEX, right? Like, let's go, baby, Helios Hockey. So go to helioshockey.com today and use the coupon code ThinkTank, one word, and you will get a 20% discount on your Pro Annual or your Pro 24-month subscription. But the kicker with Helios Hockey is that it actually pairs up that little sensor that you put in your shoulder pad with your video, and you can get your shifts from your game or your reps from your practice cut up for you, and you can watch it right after that session. So unbelievable stuff, guys. Unbelievable stuff. Also, want to thank Crossbar. This is an end-to-end software solution that helps you streamline and make way more efficient how you operate your youth hockey organization. And so what does that mean, guys? It has an unbelievably easy to use website in the front facing and in the back. They have a 5-star communications app where you can communicate with your families a lot more efficiently. We're talking about facility management. We're talking about monetary management. We're talking about managers. Like, guys, this is a one-stop shop for running your youth hockey organization. So go to crossbar.org today. If you were a hockey director or you are a president of a youth hockey organization, this is something that your organization really, really needs. It's going to make your life a whole heck of a lot easier. And we also want to thank you guys, our listeners. We absolutely love you guys. Love grinding this out week after week after week after week, man. And just appreciate every time that you get back to us through a DM on social media, through an email, or through ratings and reviews that you give us on your podcast app. Just goes a long way for us to get better and find out what you guys want to talk about. And we can talk about it in our short shifts and our Friday face-offs. So if you can, just any way you can interact with us on your podcast app goes a long way to helping us to grow in our podcast. So we appreciate you guys so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And you're going to love this episode. So without further ado, here we go with two awesome hockey guys up in the Toronto area. We got Carlo Colaiacovo and Luciano Aquino. We are so excited to have on this episode of the podcast up north in beautiful Ontario. We got Carlo Colaiacovo and Luciano Aquino. What's going on, guys? How are we doing today?
Doing great, boys. Nice to meet you guys, Luch. Nice to see you again, and happy to be on.
Thank you.
Yeah, love it. Love it. Well, we appreciate you guys coming on, and we're excited to talk some puck with you guys. But would love to, for those of you that don't know who you guys are, I'd love to introduce you guys a little bit to our listeners. And so maybe Carlo, we'll start off with you. Growing up, what made you fall in love with this great game of hockey? Such a great career, and I see the Team Canada jersey right behind you there. But how did it all start? How did you fall in love with this great game?
Well, what made me fall in love in hockey, and not just hockey, but sports, was growing up with a twin brother that I was able to be competitive with and play all different sports with. And at 7 years old, my parents put skates on us. And, I credit my dad and my parents for everything I have in my life, because hockey was just a sport that, I was attracted to, got really good at it at a young age, played on some really good teams. But more importantly, when you play at a young age, especially back when we grew up, you played the game for fun because it was a sport. Right now, it kind of feels like it's a business when you play, but because you play that sport, you inherit a whole new bunch of friends playing it, and that was the fun part for me: playing hockey, making new friends, sharing these same experiences with friends, and more importantly than anything, sharing these experiences with a twin brother who I grew up with. As I played as a defenseman, he played as a goalie. And so it was competitive between the both of us, and it just allowed us to grow a love for the game of hockey that, luckily for me, turned into an NHL career. But never once during my young years did I ever think that the NHL was even a possibility. I played hockey because I loved playing it. It was fun. It kept me competitive, and it was just something that I looked forward to doing on weekends. Like, you talk about kids that do it 6-7 days a week right now. Like, back then it was one practice, one, maybe 2 games a week. And that was your hockey fix. So as I got older, you start to learn more about the game. You start to learn more about the competition, body contact starts to get introduced, and, you just start to learn and adapt and grow to love it even more. And then, you get to a stage in your career in your mid-teens and hockey starts to become serious. And I was lucky enough to earn a path through the OHL and play for Team Canada and get drafted to the NHL. And we all know the story ends from there. So that's how it all started for me, just a young 7 years old.
Love that. That's amazing. And it's funny, we're just meeting each other, and my background's in NCAA coaching. Got the chance to coach at Miami of Ohio and Cornell and University of Michigan. And, you guys have both played or coached some amazing players in the game. And there's 2 consistencies for me of all the truly elite players that I've been around. And the first and most important one is they all love hockey. Yeah. They absolutely love the game. And so even if you are kind of like a crazy hockey parent that wants your kid to be in the NHL at 18 years old, the best thing that you can do is put them in an environment where they're going to fall in love with the game more and more every time they come to the rink, Yeah. And then the second thing is they take ownership and accountability for everything that they do.
That's something that I feel is lost a little bit in the game of hockey right now.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Big time for sure. And I'm sure we'll get into some of that stuff as we get into it, but Luch, you're next, man. Also growing up, beautiful Ontario. How did you fall in love? Tell us a little bit about your falling in love with the game when you were a young kid.
I had an older brother. He was 3 years older than me. And my dad put me on the ice when I was probably 2. And, having an older brother and watching him, it made me so excited to go on that ice and play. And, I remember my dad used to take us out on the outdoor rink and we would just go out and skate. And, you just fall in love with it at a young age. And every kid that plays a sport at a young age, they all love hockey because they can slide on the ice. It's a fun sport, especially here in Toronto. It's really cold. So, what are you going to do? Be inside all the time or, go out on the ice? And of course, my father goes
on a weekend like the one we're entering with a polar vortex about to hit us. Jesus. It's probably safer to be in a rink.
Yes. And the smell of it, actually, I remember, going into Port Credit Arena. I remember, Carl, that the smell, like the wood and you felt like, oh yeah, here we go. Like, this is exciting. And
the worst was when you played house league hockey and you had to rotate goalies and you had to put that goalie equipment on, the smell of that goalie equipment. Oh my God. I think now
the kids start to smell now at 8. They're starting to get that smell. I'm like, oh my God.
But at least parents nowadays, they go home and they air the stuff out. Back then, there was no such thing. It's it stays in the bag. It inherits a smell and you've got to play with that smell on. And it's I don't know how my brother played goalie because I couldn't stand it. After one chance in net, I'm I'm never doing this. It smells.
That's great. I know what you're saying though about walking into those old rinks. It's still the rink I grew up in. I go there maybe once every 10 years now, but I open the door. It smells identical to when I was walking in at 5. And I'm like, this is what a hockey rink should smell like. Okay,
but is that a good thing or a bad thing? Because, the smell in most bad locker rooms is urine. Right?
Oh, yummy. Oh, yeah. Great.
It's people that don't flush the toilets. People that pee in the showers. That's what a hockey room smell like.
I'm not talking about that smell. I'm talking about the Zamboni, the ice smoking on the ice, the wood stands, the rubber flooring, because they all have to have the same rubber flooring so the skates don't mess it up. And it's just you go into some of these new rinks and they're amazing and they're beautiful and they're so great to play in, but they don't smell. They don't have that nostalgic smell like the rinks that we grew up in. And I love going into those now.
Yeah, everything's state of the art now, man. You go into it's the same thing in the NHL. Remember back in the day, there would be such thing as a home ice advantage because when you had to travel into those road rinks, the road dressing rooms were tiny. Everything about it smelled and was just awful. And it kind of felt like you had to grind one out. Now you go into these rinks, they're state of the art, carpets in the room, fresh, clean stalls. That's why there's no home ice advantage anymore. Right?
Yeah.
The game's changed.
Yeah. I think about too, when you think about the smell of the rink, I think of early morning and getting to the rink and you're the first person there. and how amazing of just a feeling it was knowing you were kind of like the first person to be able to use the ice that day, whether it was 5 a.m. or 7 a.m. You know, we've all probably been there. And I liken it even too, like that's what it was like as a kid. And then as you get a little bit older and we've all played at the higher levels, it's a similar feeling, but it's a little bit different in the fact that like the clean sheet of ice now for me has turned into I'm out working everybody. I'm the first player that's out on the ice, and it gives you a little bit of that nostalgic feeling back, knowing that like I love this, man. Like I'm working at my craft. I'm out competing everybody. I'm first out here, and that's why I feel like the smell definitely is a part of that. But just the clean sheet for me, I'm the first player out here. It gives just like this like awesome feeling of competitiveness and development and like just love for the game too.
I love the crisp ice, nice and clean. Just go out there. Just rip. It's a good feeling. But again, like you said before, you cannot teach that in a kid. They have to love it. You want it to go there, right? And that's what I tell my son, and Carlo and I talk about this all the time, is that the kid has to love the sport. They truly do. They truly do. Or else you can bring them to the rink 7 times a week, but at the end of the day, they have to truly want to go there and want to do it. And you can't teach that.
You know, I have a good saying with my son, and like I've right from day one, I've never pressured him, and I've told him because, you know, he's at an age right now where he watches a lot of YouTube and he watches hockey, and you know he follows certain players, he collects hockey cards, so he asks a lot of questions, right? And I've told him right from day one, I said, buddy, don't play hockey because you're doing it to make me happy. Do it because you're going to make yourself happy. And I said, these are 2 things that I want you to make sure you always ask yourself. Do I have to go to hockey or do I want to go to hockey? Because if you come home from school and say, Dad, let's go, I want to go to hockey, now I know you're invested in it. If you come home from school and you say, oh, Dad, do I have to go to hockey? Well, guess what? You're not doing me a favor, you're not doing yourself a favor. I'm not dragging you to the rink to a place you're not wanting to go. And I think that's where, you know, it's like Luch said, it's got to come from, you know, the kid. The kid's got to want to do it, right? Because for me, like I was lucky. I lived out a dream. I don't need to live out a dream for my son. Do I want him to eventually potentially live out that same dream? Absolutely. But I know it doesn't happen overnight. It's a marathon, not a sprint. But at this age here, you know, in a world we live in, there's a lot of distractions, you know, the iPads, the phones, you know, TV, video games, stuff like that. Sports is I wouldn't say it's a great distraction because sports should never be a distraction, but sports is a great alternative for them to really stay dialed in their whole, you know, grown up process, because screen time, as I've noticed as of late, it's hard to say no to kids when their friends are doing it. Right. But at the same time, you want to make sure that they're not overdoing it with this stuff, because then they get overstimulated and they take their attention away from, I think, what's important. Like I think every kid should play a sport, maybe multiple sports at a young age, because it really helps their overall growth, you know, with mind, body, and you know, appearance.
100%. And it doesn't matter how far they go in the sport if they're able to learn those life lessons that we all learned. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that I have a successful business now, literally because of everything I learned in hockey. And I say on this podcast all the time, I hit snags in my business. I hit roadblocks. I mess up. And what has helped me to continue to move forward in my business, I've been training athletes for 18 years. I started it right before I signed in the NHL. And I literally, when something bad happens, it takes me sometimes takes me a minute, sometimes takes me a day, but I'm like, okay, take a breath, pause. What would I have done in my career when I hit a problem that is similar to this? And then I'm like, oh yeah, I did X. And then I go do that in my business. And I'm like, come on, like just get back to that stuff. Like it just how I treated people, being a leader within the business for my employees, like everything, just everything they learned, the importance and the value in details. That's why my business is where it's at. And that all comes from hockey.
Yeah. Well, that's what made you successful. And I say that all the time is that, yeah, did I get to my ultimate goal? Did you get to your ultimate goal? No, but look at the skills that it's brought me to run a business, to, you know, look at all the friends that you make. Like I tell this to my son all the time, you're not always going to like your coach. You're not always going to like every single teammate, but you got to learn how to work with them. And it's about finishing the season, and it's about, getting there on time and having a good attitude and being positive. There's two things I've always learned. One is it's so important. It's the most important thing is to be a good teammate. I tell them all the time, somebody else scores, you make sure you go hug that guy. You make sure you pat him on the helmet. You make sure that you're a good team guy, because as you get older, it gets smaller and smaller how much better somebody is. You're splitting hairs about somebody's better than another, minus a Crosby or a McDavid. So if a coach likes you and you're a good team guy, you better believe he's going to keep you around. And that's what I tell our parents. If you're a good parent, you will get more opportunities than someone who is a terrible parent. It's very simple. Very simple.
And not even that too, right? It's about like keeping you in the same spot, but it's also a lot of getting to the next level is what your coach is saying about you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
So it's like you're a great teammate and you're a great kid and you're a hard worker, and you have a scout that comes and talks to your coach. I call it the daddy-daughter test. When I was recruiting in college hockey, like if a coach would be like, this kid's amazing, I'd let him date my daughter. Be like, okay, I love to hear that, like that kind of thing. But also for all the parents out there, what the coach says about you matters too, because at the highest levels, we're really big believers that the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. And if you're a problem in youth hockey, you're going to be a problem in college hockey, and you're going to be a problem in youth hockey. Maybe not in the sense of like I'm calling the coach, but you're going to be filling your kid with a bunch of, different excuses of why you're not playing, and you're just going to create a negative atmosphere for that kid too. So I feel like not only is it going to help you at the younger ages of like, hey, these people are going to want to keep you around, but it's also going to help you to ultimately get to the next level if you have that dream of getting better.
Well, look, when kids go to school, it's the teacher's job to teach them and to help them, be well-mannered and be respectful and stuff like that. And as a teacher, it's hard to do that with 30 kids in a class, right? You go play a sport, there's a coach. The coach acts like the teacher, and you kind of want the same, attention from the kids in a team environment, knowing that they're there to get better. It's your job to help them get better, but it's also your job to keep them well-mannered, very respectful with, their surroundings and their teammates, stuff like that. Because again, the kids are mostly a direct reflection of their parents. And if you can help create that environment where kids want to come and play and get better and have fun so that they leave it and they're better kids from it, then you've done your job.
Yeah.
I just don't understand why parents have to be like, it's NHL or nothing.
Yeah.
And I don't know why at such a young age they have to put that pressure. Like if you truly ask my son what AAA hockey is, he has no idea. Zero. If you ask him what the brick tournament is, he'll be like, I don't know. Because I don't tell him these things. Because it doesn't matter now. I say, just keep getting better, and that's it. And it's up to you. Everything is up to you. Your body language, your respect, it's up to you. And parents don't get it. I think a lot of problems in the GTA is loyalty is gone. Parents will leave you in a heartbeat to be on a super team. And guys, I don't know how you feel about this. There's no such thing as a super team at 8, 9, 10 years old. It's
They're chasing a dream, buddy. Chasing a dream.
I look at Carlo as an example, and he's somebody I truly respect. I've known pretty much my whole life, and Carlo played AA. I played AAA a year up. What's the rush? And I find now, especially in the GTA, is like my son plays a year up, or my son played on the brick.
Yeah.
Like, guys,
Parent ego.
Yeah,
it's parent ego.
The kids don't know any better, and it's all the parents. It's just like, I got to get there first. It's like that FOMO. And, Carlo and I feel the same way. It's just like spring hockey. Okay, I don't mind going a couple times a week. I agree with that. Keep the kids fresh. But he plays soccer. He plays soccer all year round, my son. Because why? He likes it. And you know what? It's actually got him better as a hockey player playing soccer, because he's different muscles, different friends, different
athleticism.
He's just he likes it. So why would I take something away? And maybe in 2 or 3 years or 4 years, say, Dad, I like soccer better.
Yeah.
I will support him. He's my son. I will support him with anything You know, I always say this line, Carlo and I talk about it. Nobody knows what love is until they have a child. So I get it. Yeah. And I get it. We all love our kids, but we can't coddle them. We can't be like, you know what? If they screw up, it's a lesson. You know, if you're not passing, well, you know what, little Johnny, you got to miss a shift here because you're not passing. That is okay. You know, my son, it happened 2 weeks ago. He wasn't, you know, running back I never played soccer growing up, so he wasn't back checking. Okay. And the coach is yelling at him, get back. And he was dogging it. So what does the coach do? He pulls him off. He missed a couple of rotations, and then he puts him back out. And when he got back out, do you think he was back checking? You better believe it.
Well, let me ask you this. After that game, what was your messaging to him? Because I'm sure he came to you. Maybe he was upset. Maybe he was crying. Maybe he was, you know, I got pulled out. What was your messaging to him?
Well, I got to be honest. The first thing he said to me was, "Dad, can we go to McDonald's?" The second thing was, I brought it up to him. I'm like, "Do you know why the coach pulled you off?" And he goes, "Yeah." He goes, "I wasn't running." I go, "Yeah." And I go, "Do you think you should run?" He goes, "Yeah." I go, "So why didn't you run?" He goes, "I don't know." And I go, "Well, you have to understand is that it's a rep sport. So like you're not guaranteed your time. And the coach is trying to teach you that if you're not working hard, that you're not going to get the same ice time or field time. Like it works the same way." Mm-hmm. And it's parents look at missing shifts I see this in our age group. Carlo and I can talk about this, is that I see coaches literally bench kids for a period. It is insane. Yeah. It is absolutely insane. You can ruin that kid's confidence. Now, missing a shift or two, maybe it's a short, last 5 minutes, game's tight. You got to go with the players that are playing because that's a skill. Like, hey, guys, these guys are playing better right now, so they get to go on. Yeah, and they don't get it. You do that, you'll be bombarded with phone calls after saying, "Why did little Timmy not get that last shift or whatever?" Yeah.
Look, go ahead. I'll lose finish. I thought you're done.
No, it's just tough because they are eight. A lot of parents. I hate saying this because not all parents are like this, right? Because you have great parents out there too, and I think they didn't play the game, and they don't get it, and they think like, I'm putting all this money in. It's almost like a right. Like I put this money in, they should play. It doesn't work like that. It really doesn't.
Not in a team game. Not in a team game. Look, I think the biggest problem that minor hockey faces comes from two spots. It's parents and it's coaching, right? Because parents sometimes get misguided and misinformed about what the right thing they should be focusing on, where it's like, Luch talked about, oh, my son's got to play on the best team with the best players and be a super team and win everything. Well, what's your kid learning if he's not the best player on that team, right? You're not learning how to lose. You're not learning how to be accountable. You're not learning discipline. And then in those situations, because there's so much pressure to win there, now you start facing situations where coaches are punishing kids for not playing the way that the coach wants them to play versus teaching the kids, right? Like you're going to bench a kid for a shift. You're not punishing him because he did something bad. You're benching him because you're trying to teach him that, hey, we want you to focus on doing the right things so that you can be better from it, right? So there's a discipline aspect to it. And then coaches share most of the blame too, because they're always trying to recruit the best of the best of the best of the best, because nobody wants to spend time developing and teaching the kids, right? It's sort of the whole classroom, comparable that I had, where coaches need to understand that you're a teacher, right? And coaching, because coaches are out there to win, now they're only focused on winning, and they're only focused on pleasing certain players on that team that help them win, right? And it's the pressure. It's an ego thing too for coaches, where it's like, oh, the more I win, the more people are going to talk about me, and the more situations that I'm going to get favorable. We're talking about kids. We're talking about. And so, parents, look, I get it. They invest a lot of time. I tell people all the time, youth sports in today's world is a second full-time job for parents. because it's the time, the money, the investment of, 6-7 days a week. If you're playing one sport, I'm lucky I have one kid playing a sport. I see parents that have 3 or 4 kids playing a sport. How the heck
are they billionaires?
Again, I was talking about it's a second full-time job, and just getting people to different places at a different time. Like, you look at the team snap schedules, people's schedules are insane, and they have to mix in a 9-to-5 job doing that as well too, right? So this is just the evolution of what youth sports has turned into, right? It's turned into, trying to build athletes at a young age, and they want to do it full year round. Has it made kids better? Yes, but it's also made kids worse, because what people don't understand too is that, and there's going to be a serious case study that comes out in the very near future about burnout. Because remember, they're kids. They're kids. Don't get it, though. Burnout is a real thing. There's even situations on the team that my son plays on right now. We show up to practice one day and kids are coming from a second or third skate and they're gassed. It's almost like you gotta have a conversation that says, hey, maybe go easy with something on your schedule and just focus on rest. Rest is sometimes the most important thing you can give a kid.
100%.
Right? So that's where I think we live in an age where parents are responsible for the kids' decisions. They're trying to find the right situation for everybody. But what is the right situation? I tell people all the time, your kids hasn't even turned 10 yet. Focus on convenience, right? What's convenient for the parent? Okay. Find good coaching, coaches that care about putting in the time and the effort to create a good environment for kids to come to and help them develop. And most important thing, development. You're not going anywhere fast as a kid. Zero. Because guess what? If my birthday was today, okay, my birthday is next week, the 27th. I turned 43, not 63, right? You turn 1 year older every year, so you can't fast track everything. So because you can't fast track everything, why wouldn't you just focus on the things that matter right now? Winning doesn't matter at this age. And you know what? I did a lot of it when I was young because I was a good athlete. I was one of the best players on my team, but I didn't chase playing on super teams. I didn't want that. I wanted competition. And so maybe there's a way to better educate the parents, about, proper things to focus on. Maybe there's a better way to educate the coaches on the things to focus on. It's a very, very hard, it's a very hard thing to change in youth sports because everyone is so funnel focused on what's in the best interest for them.
And that's why we do this podcast, Carlo, right here, 7 years. And
so
Tope's business, the Hockey Think Tank business, he has a business and the podcast, and they coincide with each other, but that's exactly what he does. He goes all over the country. Organizations fly him out, and he works with parents, coaches, the organization, the board to help them understand these things. And I'll let him go into it here. But all of our listeners, you got a guy who had an unbelievable NHL career, played for Team Canada. Luch had an unbelievable pro career as well, made a ton of money, played in some of the best leagues in the world as well. And they're saying the things that we say all the time.
Nobody does selling better than Shopify. Shopify is the home of the #1 checkout on the planet. And the not-so-secret secret, with Shop Pay that boosts conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts go abandoned and way more sales going through. So if you're into growing your business, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling. On the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more, sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout that Skims uses. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period for 3 months at shopify.com/Westwood1, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/Westwood1 to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/Westwood1.
The secret is out. With millions of younger-looking customers across the country, Plexiderm is one of the most highly sought-after products on the market. It visibly shrinks under-eye bags and smooths out crow's feet in minutes, and the effects last up to 10 hours. Influencers love it, magazines feature it, and people just can't get enough of it. As a matter of fact, Elle Magazine gave it an Editor's Choice Award as Best Instant Wrinkle Filler for 2025. In as little as 10 minutes, Plexiderm reduces the appearance of fine lines, wrinkles, and those dreaded under-eye bags. So yes, you can look years younger in minutes, and the effects last for hours. No surgery, no gimmicks, just results. The best news, you can try Plexiderm for only $14.95. Plus, get free shipping. Don't wait. Order Plexiderm today. Visit plexiderm.com/special. That's plexiderm.com/special. Paid for by Sheer Science.
A Mochi moment from Sadie, who writes, I'm not crying, you're crying. This is what I said during my first appointment with my physician at Mochi, because I didn't have to convince him I needed a GLP-1. He understood, and I felt supported, not judged. I came for the weight loss and stayed for the empathy. Thanks, Sadie. I'm Myra Ahmed, founder of Mochi Health. To find your Mochi moment, visit joinmochi.com.
Sadie is a Mochi member compensated for her story.
Yeah, let me ask you guys something, because you guys, I like to call the Mecca of the crazy there in Toronto. It's the hardest youth hockey market, I think, in the world to try to navigate.
But hold on, it's the hardest, but it's considered one of the greatest too, because of the amount of kids that play.
Yeah,
right? But NHL per capita is one of the lowest, though. If you look at the actual true numbers, I tell parents this all the time. There's just over 3 million registered hockey applicants across the globe. How many NHL jobs are there? 710?
Yeah.
Like, do the math on it.
750,
Yeah, like 750. Okay, so do the math on that. And it's also touching up on Carlo's point, where it is a fine line, is you still want good players around too, or I should say like-minded. The winning comes from, if a kid's extremely weak, right? Parents also put their kids in a situation where, they can't succeed. And I have a good friend of mine whose son he was struggling. And I said, but why you have him in AAA right now? Why don't you go to AA, develop, get more puck touches, and then go to AAA? Or maybe that's where his skill level is at this point in time. I think a lot of the problems is the coaches, I shouldn't say, it's a hard thing to say, like, not that they never played anywhere, but maybe it is, but they don't get it. They really think at U9 that they're going to get an NHL coaching job. I truly do. They walk around the rinks like they're king. I got the best team. I got this. No, you're not going to the NHL from coaching U9 hockey.
Yeah, and everybody catches up. You're
not.
There's kids that have separated themselves at this age because they've done more early on. Okay. But by age 11 and age 12, everybody catches up. And the thing is that, like, it's a hard position to put a coach in to make a decision on a player that is not ready for a certain level of hockey, right? There should be a better understanding from the parent with the games that they're watching and the level of hockey they want to play, or level of sport that they want to put their kid in, that the parent should have a better understanding of what level is better suited for the kid, right? That's how you keep the kids hungry and energized to still play the sport, because if you put him in a level he's not playing in and he's struggling, how is the kid going to continue to want to play?
Mm-hmm.
But think about this. Tell me your thoughts on this. There are coaches at U8 so-called getting fired. First of all, I know some don't get paid, or they do. How are you firing a coach? Unless they're doing something, really morally wrong, sure. But they fire coaches.
They fire the volunteer who's there for free.
You're not getting paid.
And honestly, just to touch on that, you talk about not getting paid. I think that's what's get lost in this too, is that the coaches that do commit their time to be a named head coach, and maybe some of them get paid or some of them don't. They want to focus on being the coach, not deal with the problems that come with being a coach, where every day you're taking a parent phone call because somebody's not happy. It's like you've got to, at the beginning of the year, you got to have a meeting with the parents and say, look, this is how things are going to happen this year. Okay? Everybody's got to be on board. It's impossible to keep everybody happy, but we're going to do the best that we can. And if you have a problem with it, I'd love to talk to you about it, but at the appropriate time, right? Not every time you feel like something's going wrong. People have to remember you're playing a team sport and there's no such thing as perfect. Everybody's going to make a mistake. Kids make mistakes. Coaches make mistakes. Even sometimes parents make mistakes. But it's how you learn from those mistakes, which ultimately dictates how much further you go in the game.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Well, let me ask you guys this, being in Toronto and there's been some changes. And I want to address one thing really quick with you guys. And Carlo, you and I both had some thoughts on Hockey Canada after they lost out to Czechia again, and certainly caused some people to have some conversations, which I think is always good. But for me, the biggest thing, you look at the number of boys playing hockey in Ontario, it is dwindling fast.
Yeah.
Less kids are choosing to play hockey in Ontario by a lot. And that's where a lot of what my post was, is what's the environment that we're creating in youth hockey that's going to keep kids in the game, because the more kids you have, the more elite players you're going to be able to develop.
Yeah.
And I think about just the hockey culture. And so I'm from Chicago, but literally right now with this conversation, I'm in Minnesota. It's a question that I have for you guys, because there's been some changes within Ontario as far as residency rules and kind of open borders.
Yeah.
Minnesota for the United States is by far the best development model that we have. Most amount of players, most amount of elite players. When you look at Division I, you look at junior, you look at NHL, Minnesota by far outpaces everybody. It's not even close. And everybody plays for their town, right? Everybody plays for their town. There's borders, there's districts. Yes, you have some crazy hockey parents that, get an apartment in Lakeville when they actually live in Edina. And, there's always going to be that. But for the most part, and I think when you talk about a coach's time, I think we've shifted a lot where it's not necessarily a development model anymore. It's a recruiting model. And it's how can we get the most amount of talent together to make a good team? And so I wonder, for you guys being there in Toronto, what have been the effects of kind of this open border policy? Because I've had a lot of different conversations with people. Some people like it, some people don't. There's reasons why it's good, there's reasons why they're not. But I look at down here in the States, our best model is really strict on residency stuff. And it puts the onus on development, not the creation of super teams. And so just wondering what your guys' thoughts are on that, and how you've seen since those rules have changed, maybe the development model change, if it's changed at all, maybe a little bit, a lot, but would love to hear you guys.
Go ahead, Luch.
Well, I think just from being in it now for the last 3 years, I think a big problem is they drive away good coaches out of the sport. Coaches feel way too much. Every coach that I talk to, we all talk. This is what parents don't understand. Every coach talks.
Yeah.
So be careful what you say to a coach. Be careful how you act. But I also see some coaches why would I deal with this? These parents are nuts. Why would I waste my time? I love doing it with the kids. Actually, my favorite part is the practice. I love being on the ice with the kids. It's like a high, you see them getting better, all the kids. And how do you not love a kid?
Yeah, they make a great play in practice and you're high-fiving them. I love that.
It's fun.
I love that. Yeah.
And then when the game comes, I don't know. I hate saying it, maybe because somebody didn't play somewhere that they don't get it. But I think it has a lot to do with it. If a guy, just played, a really low level of hockey, he has no clue what it takes. He has no clue. So he just wants to build a super team. And then all of a sudden he's a great coach. But is your kid learning from them? They're not. And I see good kids on good teams and they're getting benched. And that's to Carlo's point, is where it's really hard, is where, yes, I still want a good team around me. But there's a fine line. You don't need a super team, that's, for me, is the biggest thing. And I really believe the kids are on the ice way too much. and that's what's killing the sport. Hockey Canada didn't do a good job in the youth levels, or I should say U9 under. They did that. They did like a quarter of an ice, half ice. And like, I get the concept of like a smaller area, but if you're throwing a puck in and there's no icing, how are they learning or understanding the game? If somebody gets a penalty, like you can get a penalty in some of the leagues here, but you don't go to the penalty box. Well, what's the point of that? I get it. Maybe that kid is off the ice. That's maybe a little bit better, but it's still 5-on-5. How are they learning the game? The small area stuff is fantastic, but in practice, they should
games. Like
Carlo, we did full ice since we were little kids, and like, why are you changing something that's not broken? You win all the time. World Junior under 17. I remember when I was on Ontario under 17. One of the best team, Corey Perry, Mike Richards. We had really good players on our team, and they all came from full ice. Like,
yeah,
I don't think full ice.
I'll push back on you here on that, Luch, because I think one of the big, and we talk about this a lot, and there's everybody has different philosophies on this, but I think, and I'll ask you guys this question: what is the number one impedance to keeping players in the game longer and getting new players? I think it's cost. I think cost is the most prohibitive thing in the game. So if players who are below a certain age that are tiny are playing half ice instead of full ice, they get more touches at less 100%. Of a cost. So at a certain level, I don't know what that perfect level is. I don't know what that perfect age is. If it's a certain, AAA, AA at a lower level, the younger kids, house, they only get half ice. I don't know what that looks like, but I do see a really big positive in doing the half ice stuff. Sweden does it. Finland does it. They're per capita producing the most players. Is that the reason? I don't know, but I think cost is majorly prohibitive. And I think it's the hardest part about our game to continue to grow our sport. So I think that's a great way to find a way to kind of cut costs, get more touches per player. And if you've ever seen that video of, if they expanded out, what is it, Toph, that USA Hockey, their biggest video ever, where they made the ice the size.
Yeah, they basically made an ice rink on a pond, or not a pond, on a big lake that was like representative of like 8-year-olds playing. It was adults playing on this big sheet on a lake, representative to the size of, the kids playing full ice at 8U. And it was pretty funny.
So look, I spent a lot of time and effort studying these conversations and, trying to predict myself what the best solution is. And I think the best solution I came up with is, why can't both be right? Right? Because there is extreme value for small area training, more puck touches, feel like you're more engaged. And look, I'm a certified Power Edge Pro skills instructor. So I see the benefits of small area games, but I also see the benefits of, training kids on the big ice, because if we look how the game of hockey has evolved, okay, and this is part of my, I wouldn't say criticism, but part of my opinion with my whole Hockey Canada stance as to why they continue to lose. And I see it in Canada more than anywhere, because this is the place that I spend most of my time. When you're talking about, development, right? I think for kids that are 7 and younger that are still learning the game, I still believe that there's a true value of small area training. And even as a pro, there's value for small area training when you're focusing on individual skill. But when you're playing a team game like hockey, which is what hockey is, it's a team game. Hockey has evolved. The game itself has evolved. It's younger, it's faster. So if a kid is going to make it in the game of hockey, what has to be his strongest skill set?
Skating.
Right? So if skating has to be the strongest skill set for a player who wants to make a career in hockey, are you really improving that in the small area of the game? Right? So that's why I say both can be true, where there is true value to small area stuff because you're improving your individual skill. But that's the problem with Hockey Canada, is you see too much individual skill, right? Because you put these kids that hire individual skill coaches, and yes, there is value to individual skills coaches, but I see more value into small group skill sessions where you're training with 5, 6 kids on the ice and you're doing individual skill stuff, but you're doing it with other guys, part of that small area training. So that in a team environment on the full ice, you're learning how to play with each player in the small area of the ice. But
Pass it.
Sorry?
I'll go a
Pass
step
it.
further too.
Pass
I'll
it.
go-
Right?
Yeah,
So-
I'll go a step further. Or go ahead, Kip. Keep going.
And
Yep.
again, so I've learned so much of this, and I was a big component of the half ice, small area training because of more puck touches. But if we're trying to keep up with the evolution of the game of hockey, you won't make it playing pro hockey if you can't skate. It's the simplest, most important element, skating. And I learned that more than anything this year when I transitioned from Hockey Canada House League to Clever type of hockey. Because Clever is, full ice, all hockey rules. And you see an amazing transition from kids that are learning how to play the game on the full ice, which is what hockey's played on, learning how to play as a team. Because the thing that bothers me the most is when I see a kid try to do everything on his own. And it's like you're one kid on the ice with 10 other players trying to do everything on your own, when really the fastest thing on the ice is the puck. Right? So both can be true when you're talking about what's important for development, but more important than anything is skating. These kids have to be, and once they get comfortable being great skaters, everything else starts to come in.
But it's also the balance with the speed. Like my dad used to say to me since I was a kid, even my dad, when he coached me, his line was, if you can't skate, you can't play. So my practices, every single one, anybody in the city that's seen them, it's all about skating because it's the foundation of that sport. If you can't skate, you can't get to that. And some parents will be like, but I don't understand. Why aren't we doing D-zone coverage? Or well, if you can't skate, how can you get to that position anyways?
If you can't make a pass, how are you supposed to do a breakout, right?
Yeah.
You got to peel the layers back and focus on the basics first, and then everything starts to come together once they learn the basics and the foundations of just how to play a simple game.
Yeah.
That's what I focus on with the development that we put together with our team. It's gradually building up. Like we joined Clever this year, and we were 2, 3, maybe even 4 steps behind some of the guys that have been doing it for 3 years. And we knew that going in. So what did we do? In the beginning, we just focused on skating. Got to get these kids better skaters. Now we're 3, 4 months into it. They've significantly improved their skating. Now you're trying to introduce the puck elements of the game. And they've made tremendous strides with that too, because it's just part of the growth and development where you're focusing on the things that matter when they matter.
So I would love to tie this whole thing together with this conversation because I think this is great being able to talk about these things. And I think one of the most downloaded episodes we ever did, guys, was a debate on mite hockey, full ice versus small ice. And we had our Uncle Tim, who's been doing it forever, huge full ice, proponent. And everything that you're talking about, like there's pros and cons to everything, right? Like everybody wants, it has to be this way. No, like in reality, there's good things about this. There's bad things about this, whatever it may be. But Carlo, what you just said there for me rings so true. And that is, to be honest with you, it doesn't freaking matter. It doesn't. What matters is that you're coaching them. Coaching trumps everything any day of the week. And you talk
it's
about
whatever the kid is ready for at the time or
100%.
whatever age he's in, right? If he's ready to play, to be a full ice skater, because that's where his development is, then you stay with that. That's why I said, there's no rush. Like there's no rush to get the AAA hockey, which is the highest level of hockey for that age group. If maybe you got to start in single A, maybe that's what the kid is ready for. Right.
But Topher, here's the real problem though about it. So you have, like Carlos saying, you have a kid, he's getting better, but he's not quite there yet. Do you think that the kid who's the top of the team, do you think he'll stay, or will he go with that team that he thinks is going to be better and they can win more games? So what's happening is that you start to form one team, and that's why those kids on the top teams never make it. They just don't. You have so much pressure at a young age. I always tell my son this: it's better to be an underdog because there's only one way you can go, up. Let them say, and it's parents' ego, let them say, we're on the best team, they're winning tournaments, and they're doing 11 spring tournaments. Some kids, 11. My son last year did zero spring tournaments because it's not worth it, because they don't. It's funny, Carlo and I, the guys that really played like yourselves and all of us, we really know it means nothing right now. It means zero. And I say this to people all the time when they'll be like, that kid's not that good, this and that. My line is, we'll see you at the draft. Yeah. There's 8 more years, 9 more years, 10 more years of development. Slow and steady, keep pushing. But this is where the problem with the coaches is that you got guys that never played the sport that are like, we got to get a super team. And they trick these parents to be like, hey, we're the best. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. And you know what happens? That kid goes to that other team. I see it all that you guys seen in your whole career. They go to that team. They start to struggle. There's only so many mouths you can feed on a team like that.
It's true.
That kid falls off.
And then that's where the coaches lose interest of coaching those teams, because they have to deal with parent problems now. And it just becomes a really toxic environment. And Jeff, I just want to touch on the costing, because we talked about this before. Look, there is a cost to playing sports. There is a cost to playing hockey. And I think hockey, because you get the equipment's that much more expensive, the ice is expensive. And, the cost sometimes is a choice. It's a choice by the parents. And just as what we were talking about, the best player leaving to go play on the best team. The other problem that doesn't get enough attention is the way coaches recruit players, right? Where they're promising spots on certain teams. Oh, hey, if you come play here, I'll promise you this spot. There's coaches that are paying for kids' registrations at age 9, 10 years old.
It's ridiculous.
Like that's the problem too, is that and look, the cost of hockey, it is what it is, right? You look at youth sports across the board, there's a cost to play everything, and everything in our life is expensive. Everything. I wish there's a way to make it a little bit more affordable. I just don't know how you do it. I don't know how you do it.
Costs are expensive here. It's really expensive. Right? It's not.
Ice plays a big factor. The equipment plays a big factor.
Travel.
It's travel. Playing on these brick teams or these spring hockey teams, there's an extra cost to that. That's a choice for a parent. And if your choice is that you want to play in it, well, then that's the cost. You've got to be willing to it's what it costs. It is what it is.
100%. I think what's really important too is people like ourselves who played at high levels understand, people like teachers, people like coaches, people like strength coaches, continuing to educate the hockey world. Long-term athletic development, LTAD, is what really matters the most, especially when we're talking about 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, even 13, 14. Play other sports. Play other freaking sports. All right. I have trained tens of thousands of athletes. I've had over 33,000 people use my online training since COVID in the last 5 years. I've trained thousands of players in person myself. My company trains almost 4,000 youth athletes in season this season across all the organizations. What we focus on with almost all of our younger players is just getting athletic. Obviously strength, power, speed, but when they're younger, it's base athleticism, thinking through movement, playing games that we put constraints on that they're going to have to think and move and pass and pick and roll and read scenarios and rhythm and timing and all these things that other sports will teach you to be better at hockey without actually having to play hockey. And then also when we talk about development, being in other locker rooms with coaches from other sports, players from other sports, probably different socioeconomic backgrounds, it's going to help you develop as a person first and foremost, but also as an athlete. Because if you're the best player on your hockey team, maybe you're not the best player on your baseball team or your soccer team. And guess what? We all know it's great for little Johnny, like your son, being humbled. He didn't back check in soccer, so he got pulled off the field, but maybe he's a stud in hockey. Well, now that's going to help him in hockey because he got humbled in soccer. And we need more coaches promoting that stuff or making that, that's part of my training with the hockey clubs my company works with. You're a hockey player, you're coming to quote unquote train for hockey, but we're playing basketball, we're playing soccer, we're playing dodgeball, because I'm teaching them things they don't even know they're learning through fun and games and things like that. But it's going to make them better at hockey. And part of the thing that is really tough with hockey, we're talking about coaches who maybe didn't play. The other side of the coin that I see is guys who did play and their only thing they know how to do is make money in hockey. And a lot of them are perpetuating these endless 12-month tournaments because that's how they make money.
It's a business. It's turned into a business.
I get it, but also I really hate that.
There's two sides. There's two sides of it for sure.
You know, like, I know that these kids shouldn't be doing 2 tournaments a month in summer, but I'm making $100,000 this summer, so I'm going to do it.
That's true.
I don't love that. I don't have any respect.
And that's the problem, right? Youth sports has turned into a big money-making industry.
But here's the one thing that I always say, and we haven't touched up on it yet, and you guys all know this, but the mental side of the sport where people always forget about, I always tell, one of the dads of my team, he's unreal. He always asks me questions or certain things. And I say, you know what the hardest thing is? Imagine working your whole life to get to this dream. Okay. You're close, but not there. You may have a chance. You don't know yet. And then you get sent down. You have no idea how mentally tough you got to be and say, hey, I'll get my chance. I don't know when it is. You go from eating steak and lobster to Olive Garden, riding a bus to beautiful Norfolk, Virginia, or wherever the case may be, Rochester, whatever the case may be, you're no longer there. That you got to be so mentally tough. And, in the HL, East Coast, all these leagues, it's like there's so many good players. And I always found the guys that, they're down there for a year or 2, 3 years. Did they get an opportunity for sure, but also they mentally were tough. Their attitude was good. They didn't care. They're like, I'm going to get my chance. I'm going to get my chance. And that's the biggest thing is giving it your all. And if it's meant to be, great. Yes, you have to be skilled. Yes, you have to be good. But you can't control certain things. Like, Jeff, your business, you can control. Topher, you guys, we can all control our businesses. It's easier because we played the sport. I know how to run a business now. Hey, it's like a team. Delegate work to this person, treating them with respect. Hey, you're not above that person, And that's what hockey really taught me. And I can say this about Carlo. It's just like when I was done playing, I knew what I wanted to do, but who do you think my first clients were?
Hockey players.
The guys I played with.
Yeah.
Do you think I went in there and no, we trust you. We love you. We grew up with you here. So that's a big thing. And I always say this about Carlo. He's a true gentleman. Everyone loves him in the world here, especially in not only in the hockey world, but he's a good person. I always say that, like, when I have advice, I go to him because he's always been a good friend like that. Like, hey, what do you think about this? Or what do you think about that? And maybe sometimes he needs my advice because we all love our kids. Like, but hey, am I doing something wrong? Should I do this? Or should
how many times did I call you over the year because I just entered, the Clever League, and you were in it for 2 years. So I'm trying to get, a better understanding how things work and who's the who and where's the where. And, I walked into it, open-minded, but also blind because I'm like, okay, what am I getting myself into? So you lean on people like that to learn more about your surroundings and what it is you're walking into. So I think the important thing is that playing hockey is not about making it to the NHL. And I think that's the important message here. Playing hockey is an avenue to create a life of experiences, a life of earning a good living, playing a sport, a life of friendships, a life of, adversity. There's so many things that you could learn and use as a life tool playing the game of hockey. I mean, battling through injury, right? Dealing with, tough situations, dealing with failure, dealing with success, like anything that you would do in a normal world that wouldn't make you as happy as playing a sport in front of fans. That's what hockey should. That's the message parents should learn about putting their kid in hockey is that it's not about making it to the NHL. Because, Luch, what's the percentage of kids that make it to the NHL?
I think it's 0.0017 exact amount.
It's not very high.
Nobody does selling better than Shopify. Shopify is the home of the #1 checkout on the planet. And the not-so-secret with Shop Pay that boosts conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts go abandoned and way more sales going through. So if you're into growing your business, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling. On the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more, sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout that Skims uses. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period for 3 months at shopify.com/Westwood1, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/Westwood1 to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/Westwood1.
And that's the thing, like, somebody asked me,
and I forgot to say a scholarship too. Like, you get schooling out of it.
Yeah. Like it is such an accomplishment even to play at a high level at a young age. Like the pool gets smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller as we get older. And somebody asked me the question, like, would you want your kid to play in the NHL? And I said, if that's truly what he wants, it's going to be hard. But if that's his dream, sure. But knowing what I know now, having a hockey family, my brother was drafted in the NHL, signed with Dallas, scholarships. We both played. I'd rather my son take over my business and my daughter and run the business and grow it. And, but if that's what they truly want to do, great. But there's so many people out there, like Carlo said, it's like NHL or nothing. And,
and they're trying to determine that path at 8 or 9 years old. It's like, that doesn't work.
How many first rounders don't make the NHL? How many second rounders, third rounder? Yeah. If they're getting it wrong at 18, how can we get it right at 8 or 9 or 10? It is impossible to predict. I see all the time, this superstar, this guy's from this area. You got to see him. He's the best of the best. He's going to the brick. And is this okay? But how many kids that play in those tournaments there's a higher percentage of guys that don't make the NHL from that tournament than do.
Well, you got to listen to our last episode, or it would have been 2 episodes now when this one comes out. It was with Mike Brown, played for the Maple Leafs, unbelievable guy, Team USA.
Brownie.
University of Michigan.
Brownie in Toronto, did you guys cross paths at all? Or
no. He played for the Anaheim Ducks too, didn't he?
Yeah. 400 games NHL. Toph grew up with him.
And think about the life of the NHL he had to earn. Okay.
Yeah.
And you talk about tough guys. That's not an easy way to make a living, man.
Exactly. No. And guess what? He was it 14 years old, Toph? At 14 years old, this is one of the coolest stories I've ever heard. 14 years old for Toph's team. Toph's team wound up winning the national championship. I think they won the Natty Championship 9-1 against Rob Schremp's team. They waxed everybody. They beat my team in St. Louis 7-1. They played without a goalie in the whole entire third period, and they played with 2 lines for half the game, while the other 2 lines.
Super team. That's the thing.
They weren't. They were just nasty. Brownie, who only guy on the team who makes the NHL, is the last pick for the team. The last tryout, it was him and another guy battling one-on-one while everybody else watched. And that's how he made the team. So this is at 14. He's the last guy picked, only guy on the team to play Team USA, to play in the NHL, 400 games. Yeah. At 14, we're talking about the brick. We're talking about 8-year-olds, guys. All that matters is teach them to love the game, teach them to be better human beings, make them better athletes, teach them the life lessons. That's what's important. And love your kid no matter what.
Hockey is the only sport, too, that changes midway through your teen years, right? Because you can play soccer growing up. It's played the same way all the time. Play football growing up. Okay, they started flag football. They moved to contact a little bit early. Basketball, play the same. Is it U14, Luch?
Yeah, U14, the hitting.
U14,
13,
the game completely changes because now you're telling everybody to beat the crap at each other with hits.
Yeah.
It's a contact game now. And that's that's why up until age 14, nothing matters. Put them in a position where they're going to have fun and get better. Because at U14, you could be the best kid, but guess what? When there's hitting, the game changes.
You see who really wants to play. Come on, you guys. Remember playing even – there were some scary dudes back in the day. Yeah. And I remember
We'd
They
come
would
to
say, "You go
Toronto
in the
and
corner."
everybody had a beard. And I'm like, I don't even have my first armpit or pubic hair yet. And I'm like, what are they feeding these kids in Toronto?
So that's the other thing that, you have to factor in too. Like you could try to carve out a dream path at U8, U9, U10. At U14, it changes.
What was the percentage I said that I read? I think it was, don't quote me on this, but I think it was like 62% of kids that you're playing with right now, they quit at U14 or they just fall off the map because there is hitting and you see who really
wants to play.
Yeah. And how about high school? I call high school the abyss because you know what? My son can be like in grade 9. Oh, Dad, I don't want to go to the game tonight. I'm going to go to a party at Tom's house or whatever, right?
They get influenced by different things, yeah.
Yeah, they start to change. You'll see, I always say this is that you need to have a screw loose. And that doesn't mean being crazy, like tough. It's like, you know what? You're obsessed with working out. You're obsessed with shooting pucks. You're obsessed with skating. You're obsessed with working out and getting your body ready. And you need to be obsessed to do it because it takes up a lot of your time.
Yeah. You got to love to practice. You got to love to get better in any sport that you do. Because if you don't love to practice, you ain't never getting better.
Yeah. We
Simple as
had
that.
a bunch of years ago, we had Marty St. Louis on our podcast. And one of the coolest lines he ever said that we've ever heard on our thing was he was talking about, here's a guy who's 5'8", 5'9", whatever he is. And, didn't get the scholarship to the big school, had a great career, still didn't get drafted, still didn't get signed to an NHL contract. And then he became a Hall of Famer. And the line that he said was, it was something to the effect of like, I knew I wasn't the best skater. I didn't have the best shot. I didn't have the best hands and things like that. But there was one thing that I was the best at. I was the best at getting better. And that's why he has surpassed, all the people who, got drafted and all that kind of stuff. And I think about like, you talk about making the NHL. So I did a study a few years back on all the American players that played in the NHL in a certain season. There was like 288 or something like that. Mm-hmm. And one of the things I looked at was what round everybody was drafted in. And when you look at all the players that played in the NHL that year, the most amount of players came from the first round, right? You can't miss, you're going to get that opportunity. But then the second most was undrafted. Wasn't the second round or the third round. It was undrafted. Now there's a number to that, right? There's more undrafted players than there are drafted players. But I also think a big part of that is you talk about the life skills that are necessary to be able to be at that level. You have to be resilient to play at that level. You have to be obsessed with what you do to get to that level. You have to want to get better and be consistent. And those are things that we can be teaching our kids as they're coming up. It's not just about making them good at hockey. It's making them good at the life skills that are necessary to succeed in something that's really, 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 really hard to do.
Yeah.
And so I think, this conversation that we're having here today is such a great, such a great just collaboration of people who care about the game and want to make it better and have been there and have learned a lot of these lessons that these kids are going to go through as they're going through their journey. And the biggest thing is like, the thing that binds us all is we love it, guys.
Yeah.
We're sitting here on a hockey podcast. Our kids are playing hockey. We all played, like we're trying to give back to we all love it. And so the biggest thing that we all have to do as we are, having these conversations and creating programming and really having some effect on the game is what kind of environment can we create where more and more people are just going to love being a part of this great game that we fell with years ago.
For sure.
Totally.
Appreciate guys so much. You guys coming on the podcast here today. Appreciate all that you guys are doing on the micro and on the macro level to make our game better.
Doing our best.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And we appreciate it. So we'd love to keep you guys for another couple minutes to do a 10 questions that we'll have in our Hockey Think Tank community that we have. But all in all, like awesome hockey guys. Really appreciate you guys doing this. And thanks so much for all you're doing.
Thank you.
Appreciate having us, boys. Keep up the great work.
Yeah. Awesome.
Super Bowl 60 deserves a sportsbook built for the moment. DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of Super Bowl 60, puts you right at the center of the biggest game of the year. Anything can happen during the Super Bowl, and DraftKings has your back with early exit. If your player goes down in the first half, you still get paid in cash when your bet settles. No bonus bets, no waiting. While other sportsbooks don't offer injury protection, DraftKings covers the entire first half, even the second quarter. And early exit works on live bets too. Pre-game or in-game, DraftKings has you covered. New to DraftKings, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code THPN. That's code THPN to turn $5 into $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. Connecticut, call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino in Kansas, wager tax pass-through may apply in Illinois, 21 plus in most states, void in Ontario, restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets which expire in 7 days. Minimum odds required. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio. Limited time offer.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.